Okay, I had to do two separate videos because the iPad doesn't allow me to pause a video, and I had a Zoom meeting I had to attend. So now we're going to go on to page 7. And notice on page 7 that I said color if it helps, only if you need to. I realized that for some of you, the coloring made it more confusing because you were having to actually add more steps. For some of you, the color coding helped you remember where the numbers went, and either way is okay. I'm going to check this without the color coding, but I may go back and throw a couple in there. We'll just see how the time goes because there is a time limit on these videos. Okay, so 9/7 is the same thing as 9 divided by 7. Remember that our denominator is not going to change, so I can put a little answer bubble or box right there and know that my denominator is not going to change. I also know that whatever I write above this line for the quotient, that is going to be my whole number. So I just said I might not do this, but I'm going to do it for here. Remember, whatever number goes above that line is the whole number. Whatever number starts as your denominator stays as your denominator. Okay? That's the easiest part, is the denominator, because it doesn't change unless you end up simplifying. So on every one of these, you could actually have make yourself a little answer box and gone ahead and written that denominator right there, because it's not going to change unless you simplify. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Now, let's go on to number 2. 11/3 is the same thing as 11 divided by 3. The closest number that 3 goes into evenly to 11 is 9. 3 goes into 9 3 times. So that becomes our whole number, which becomes our whole number over here too. Then we do the multiplication. 3 times 3 equals 9. The subtraction, 11 minus 9 equals 2. That remainder right here becomes my numerator. So that answer is 3 2/3. Now, as I was doing that, out of the corner of my eye, I realized I never finished this one. So I'm going to go back and do that one now. 7 goes into 9 one time. 1 times 7 equals 7. 9 minus 7 equals 2. That becomes my remainder. My remainder becomes my numerator. So 1 2/7 is my answer. 25 divided by 8. The closest thing to 25 that 8 goes into evenly is 24. And it goes into 24 evenly 3 times. 3 times 8 equals 24. Subtract. 25 minus 24 is 1. So I have these 3 numbers here that I'm dealing with. Where do they all go? Well, the number on top is my whole number. The number over here is the divisor. I already put as my denominator, divisor, denominator. And my remainder goes in that remaining space, the numerator space. Okay? 9 divided by 4. 4 goes into 9 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. 9 minus 8 is 1. So I have my 3 numbers again. The top number is the tall number. The divisor is the denominator. The remainder goes in that remaining spot, the numerator spot. Okay, so 2 1/4 is our answer. 17 divided by 9. Well, 9 almost goes 9 goes into 18 twice, but this isn't 18, so it means it's going to go once. 1 times 9 is 9. 17 minus 9 is 8. So again, my number on top becomes my tall number, my whole number. My divisor becomes my denominator, and my remainder goes into that remaining spot for the numerator. Now you notice I haven't actually written the remainder up here every time, because we're not actually, even though this is division, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the right answer right here, the complete answer right here, like the remainder 1. I'm looking for what you write right here as your mixed number, okay? Number 8, 33 divided by 5. 6 goes into it 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30. 33 minus 30 is 3. So that means I have 6 as my whole number, 5 is my denominator, and 3 is my numerator. 6 3/5. 29 divided by 6. 6 goes into 29 4 times. 4 times 6 is 24. 29 minus 24 is 5. So my answer, my mixed number, is 6 and, wait a minute, did I do that right? No. Sorry, I got a message right then. Sorry. 4 is my whole number, and 6 is my divisor and denominator, and 5 is my numerator. I am so sorry. There was a noise that got my attention for a second. Okay, last one on this page. 13 divided by 2. 2 goes into 13 6 times. 6 times 2 is 12. Subtract, we get 1. My tall number, my top number is my tall number. Is a way to remember it, but also it's your whole number. My divisor is my denominator. My remainder goes in that remaining space. So here are our answers for this page. Whoops. So see if you got all that. If you have any questions, make sure and then we will move on to page 8, where we're doing it without shading again. This time it actually says without shading. The last one it says only if you need to. This one says do without. However, if you found it helpful and you use the colors again, that is okay. Hang on just a second. Let me reply to this because it's about Miss Cher. Not about Miss Cher, from Miss Cher. Okay, here we go. Instead of talking this one out, I'm just going to do it. So if you need to pause and check my answers against yours, go ahead and do that. You should be able to pause as you replay a video. It just doesn't let me pause when I'm creating one. Now this one's a little different because we don't have a remainder. We have a remainder of 0. So if we were to write that as a fraction, it would be 10 and 0/3. Well, 0/3 is the same thing as 0. So this is sort of like 10 plus 0. So we don't keep that fraction there if it has 0 as the numerator. So our answer is really just 10. Okay, so the closest thing to 61 that 8 goes into evenly is 56, and it does that 7 times. A couple people asked me for a little guidance on that in the classroom earlier, so if you were not one of those people and you were still stuck, I wanted to say that. And 61 minus 56 is 5, so we've got... Now, some of you, as you're doing this, have figured out how to do that in your head. I know that 4 goes into 18 4 times, and I know that that's going to give me a remainder of 2 and a denominator of 4. So if you have gotten to the point where you can do that in your head, that's great. If you still need to do it this way, that's okay too. But this can be simplified because 2 and 4 have a common factor. And the greatest common factor, 2 and 4, is 2. So we're going to divide both of them by 2, and that's going to give us 4 and 1/2. So here we have 5 and 4, 6. Again, they have a common factor of 2. So we're going to divide both of those by 2, both the numerator and the denominator. The whole number stays the same. So we end up with 5 and 2/3. And for the last one, a couple people asked me for help with this too. Just because I have 3 digits in it doesn't mean you can't do it. You can either figure out, counting by tens, how many times 10 goes into 112, or you can do regular long division and look at the 11. 10 goes into 11 one time. 1 times 10 is 10. We'll subtract, and then we'll bring down the 12. 10 goes into 12 one time. Times 10, 2. So if we were doing the long division, that's how we would do it. If we just remember that 10 times 11 is 110, then you could do it that way. But either way, you end up with 11 and 2/10, which can be simplified to 11 and 1/5, because they each, 2 and 10, have the common factor of 2. All right, so I'm going to try to back this up a little bit so you can see all of those answers at once, in case you just needed to double check. Now, number 15 says go back and check your mixed numbers. Do any of them have fractions that need to be simplified? Which ones? Simplify them below. Well, I did that for you already. They were number 12, which was 18/4, which was 4 and 2/2, and that equaled 4 and 1/2. Another one was 13, and that was 34/6, and that equaled 5 and 4/6, which equals 5 and 2/3. And the last one was number 14, which was 112/10, which equaled 11 and 2/10, which equaled 11 and 1/5. Okay, so as I mentioned in class, we're going to have a little quiz on converting improper fractions to mixed numbers tomorrow. We actually started this last week, and then we paused to review simplifying. And so tomorrow we're going to have some mixed numbers that require simplifying. So let me know if you've got any questions, and we will do a little practice review before the quiz tomorrow also.